thanks for being here. Today I want to share my best tips and tricks for cutting and preparing your card bases. Let's get started. To start out, here is tip number one, which is to cut and prepare your card bases and have them ready really close to your crafting work table. So I started doing this about a year ago. It saves me so much time. So I have all of the Stampin' Up! Colors here prepped and ready in this little basket that I think I got from the dollar store. And I can use them out of here until I get low. When I see that I only have one or two of a color left, I'll go ahead and grab a few pieces of cardstock out of my larger paper supply, cut those into card bases, stick them in here. I always have all of the colors ready at all times. Such a huge time saver. Tip number two, let's actually cut and prep a few card bases here, and I'll share my other tips. So tip number two is to score your card bases first. Tip number three is to cut second. So these might kind of count as one, but we're going to do them as two. So first, I'm going to line this up. Now, if you're interested in what these lines are on my trimmer, these are to help me cut and prep my card bases in my card fronts. So I'm going to link you to a video here where I show how to do that. Now, if you decide to do that on your trimmer, make sure you use paint markers, not a Sharpie, because Sharpie rubs off. In that video, I talk about using a Sharpie. So I line up at 4 1/4. I am going to use the lighter blade here, the scoring blade, to score this entire piece of cardstock, okay? So when you score first, and I don't know if you can see that real well, basically you are saving yourself a step because you only had to score one time. So now I'm going to turn this sideways, and the next step is to cut them in half. So I lined it up at 5 1/2. I'm going to use that darker blade to cut them in half. So when you get going with this, let's do a few of these, and I'll show you how quickly you can do this. Line it up at 4 1/4, score it, turn it, cut it. Let's do another one. Here's a little tip. You don't even have to raise up your trimmer if you don't want to. Now, I should have gotten my blade back to the top. I've got to get that cutting blade out of the way, but I can score it, turn it. Now, even though that scoring blade is right there, it doesn't matter. I can just push it along while I cut. We end up with our two card bases. So when you score first, cut second, that can really save you a lot of time. Now, my next tip is with creasing your cards, folding and creasing your cards. So I have folded this in half. I'm going to bring in my bone folder. And the reason I share this is because I had a very experienced card maker who knows far more than me, I think, in most cases, ask me recently how I get my cards to lay so flat. So that is why we're doing this right now. Fold your card in half. You don't really have to push here. You honestly don't even have to score this ahead of time, but you want to hold your bone folder over here towards the end of it, not towards the point. And you are going to run that along just like I just showed with most of the bone folder laying on top of your card base. Can you see how flat that is? It is basically perfectly flat. Let's do that again. I'm going to show you the way I used to do it, the way I see a lot of card makers do this, and I did it because I saw other people doing it. Okay, just like that. Now that is not laying flat. I'm going to do it again. It usually doesn't make it any better. Okay, so what you do is just like this, and it is laying perfectly flat. So those are my best tips and tricks for cutting and prepping your card bases. I hope they're helpful. Give me a like, subscribe to my channel while you're here. You can find more links to information in the video's description below. Thanks so much for watching along, and I hope you'll be here again next time when I'm here helping you to hand make with love.